from the MCPLive.tv studios, located in downtown Conroe, it's the Conroe Art League, live.
Hello and welcome to Cal Live, the show that introduces to you one by one the many talented artists of the Conroe Art League and to the beautiful work that they create. My name is Ken Roy. I'm your host today for Cal Live, as well as the president of the Conroe Art League. And today our guest is the wonderful Conroe Art League artist, Kerry Conkling. Hello, Kerry. Welcome to the show. Thanks for doing this for us. And Kerry, I'd like to ask you to introduce yourself to our audience. You tell them as much or as little as you'd like. I know there are some things I want to ask you about if you don't cover them about the Art League, but please introduce yourself to our audience.
Okay. My name is Kerry Conkling. I was born and grew up in Montreal, Canada, and when I graduated from college, where I went to college in Switzerland and came back to Canada and started working for the airlines. And then eventually, when I was about 27 years old, I moved to Houston to marry my husband now, who's my husband now. We have 2 kids, we have 5 grandchildren, and I worked my entire life, over 30 years, for the airlines. And I started out as a flight attendant, and then eventually went to work in ticketing and arrivals, departures, operations, dispatch, and the last 17 years before I retired, I worked for British Airways. So we did lots of nice traveling.
I've learned something about you right away that I didn't know, and that was going to school in Switzerland.
Yes.
So tell me about that. So I'm curious, how did, what's the connection from growing up in Canada to private school, I'm guessing, in Switzerland? But
yes,
you tell me.
Yes. It was a private college, and my passion was skiing.
Is that right?
I love to ski. It was the only sport I was ever really good at, and we did a lot of it. My dad was an avid skier. My 3 brothers and my sister were all skiers. So when it came time to choose where I wanted to go to school, I said, why don't I go to Switzerland and improve on my French? And my dad said, okay.
You're quite a salesman, aren't you?
Yeah. Well, he loved to ski too, so he got it. Anyway, so that's what I did, and loved every minute of it, and came back to Canada and had to be a little bit more serious about my life.
So you did get a degree?
Yes, in French.
And what university was that?
Well, it was Alliance Française, which was a degree out of Geneva, but we actually went to school in the mountains.
Mm-hmm. So did you say you had to learn French or improve your French?
No,
improve it. Yeah.
We've been speaking French since our whole lives in Quebec, which is a bilingual province. And so this was just kind of a different kind of French, and just going forward with my education.
Yeah. And you knew coming to Texas, Houston, Kerry, that there weren't any snow-covered mountains here.
No, but when I met my husband, he told me that his family had gone to Colorado often,
right.
And he actually skied.
Yeah. Oh,
yes,
nice.
So that was part of our marriage contract. Not really, but it was.
Right.
It was a lot of fun, and what's happened now is that years and years and years later, our kids also love to ski, and our son, his wife, and their 3 kids now live in Steamboat Springs, Colorado, which is where we used to go.
Right.
So we miss them a lot, but we get it.
Right.
We totally get it.
Yeah, but so you're able to go at least once.
Yeah.
Twice a year. Who knows?
A couple of times a year, and it's a beautiful place. Lucky them.
Yeah, and you had quite the career in the airlines. I know. I think you've had a lot of responsible jobs with the airlines.
I did.
And you retired from the airlines.
I retired from the airlines about 9 years ago, and I had worked, like I said, for British Airways for 17 years, and I did retire early, but we built a house on Lake Conroe. We were kind of in a hurry to get up there and settle in, and it was about a 100-mile commute to the airport round trip, so that was that made the decision for us. But when I got to Conroe, we got to Lake Conroe, I realized I had to reinvent myself. And so,
in what way?
well, what do you do with an old airline person? You know, that you have to do something different. So I met this lady. Her name is Ann Harris. She's a wonderful oil painter and had been a member of the Conroe Art League for many, many, many years. And I just met her in Conroe, and she said, I had seen a few of her paintings, and I said, well, where do you all meet, or what do you do? Or do you have lessons or classes? And she said, well, let me invite you to one of our meetings. And it was at the church on League Line Road. And I remember thinking, this could really be fun. My mother was an artist. She was a watercolorist. I never did have that opportunity. I was very busy, so I didn't really, but I thought this is something I want to learn to do. And Ann Harris and a few of the other ladies who had invited me to come were so nice. When I got there, I was introduced to all these wonderful artists. They were very nice. They were very generous with all their information. They were generous with their talent, which I think was what I was most impressed with. They weren't shy about sharing how they did something or when they did. Anyway, that was the first intro to the Conroe Art League.
And to art, it sounds like.
And
maybe,
into art,
maybe you did
yeah.
some
I
at some point in
new.
time, but it wasn't one of these, when I retire, I'm going to go back to painting, and it wasn't that for
No,
you.
it was brand new.
It was brand new. What did you gravitate to medium-wise when you started?
Well, my mother was a watercolorist, so I thought that's what I should do, because I loved her style, and it was very soft, and it was just, I love the colors that watercolor paints can produce. So I did start taking a few classes. This is, of course, we didn't have an art gallery then, and got to know the other members a lot better. And it was just a great experience. It was really, really fun.
And we do have a gallery now.
We
and
do.
I know for a fact that you were in the forefront of how this gallery came about. And I picked up bits and pieces through a couple of 3 years that I've known you. But if you could walk us back and tell us about before we were in that building. We know it was out of a church, and I've heard it sometime in the library. And
that's going way back, yeah.
But what was the, how did the opportunity present itself for this building with the city, and then what happened after that? How did you find out, and how did it go to finally get into the building?
Well, we had a few of our members, and one of them was Ann Harris, there was Ann Johnson, Kathleen Rowland, there were several, Maggie Gutierrez, Craig Campobello. They kept in touch with the city as far as opportunities to find somewhere for Conroe Art League to have a home.
So somebody was already asking.
Oh, yeah.
The city didn't approach a group of people.
They did when the building became available.
Okay.
They were doing a revitalization of the city, the downtown area. And the Madeley building was part of that revitalization. The streets, as you notice, have that nice brick
yes.
cobblestone look, and the pretty old-fashioned lampposts, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So they wanted to enhance that look and really use the buildings that belonged to them, that they owned. And the Madeley building, I think, was purchased by the city many, many, many years ago, but it was used for storage and so on and so forth after it had been the telephone exchange and a lot of other really interesting things.
Interesting things.
Yes.
Yes.
So when the Art League found out that there was this opportunity, they just jumped on it. And they said, we'll put together a committee, we'll work with the city hand in hand. Hopefully we both come up with the same ideas, and they did.
And of course you were on that committee.
I was on that committee. Now I was a little bit in the background because I had zero experience what to put into an art gallery. What does an art gallery need?
Yes. But you had management experience.
Oh, yes.
With your time with your Shareways.
Yes. And we had people who had been, Bill and Linda Drayton They were from Louisiana. They had been involved with putting together an art gallery before. There were other people who would go on road trips all over Texas to visit other art galleries and see what they do, how they do it, and how our plan could fit together with the city's plan to fit together with, other people's good ideas.
And we just celebrated the 10-year anniversary in 2021. So I would say it's been a huge success, a good partnership for both the Art League and the city, because I do go sometimes to the city council when we have a grant opportunity, and I get feedback from them, and we've had a number of officials come and visit. So we love it. I think the city loves it, and we keep trying to foster that relationship and look for new opportunities. But your involvement with the Art League didn't stop with the building. You later became president?
President.
And did you have a role on the board before president?
No.
Okay. So
No.
just jump right in. Yeah?
They felt I might have some good leadership skills, and I had a way of convincing people to do things they weren't sure they wanted to do. And so that's what they needed.
I'll second that, yeah.
Any volunteer organization, and that was one of the biggest challenges, was that we needed a whole team of people every day that we were open to keep the gallery doors open. We needed a team of people to run the gallery, to volunteer, to docent in the gallery, and then we needed a board. It had to expand a lot from what it was before, because there was a building to take care of, and there was other needs that the gallery needed and the Art League needed to put together. So it expanded really quickly, and there was a lot of growing pains. We did have a lady, Kathleen Rowland, who had worked for nonprofits her whole life. She knew about volunteerism. She knew that teamwork was really important. So she was my mentor. She was the one that talked me into taking the job as president, and she promised to be my mentor, and she was. She was very knowledgeable and helpful, and this whole team concept always works well, probably in any business. I know if you're a flight attendant, you have a whole team of people, and you all have to work together.
That's right.
It's any industry, I think, needs a team. So.
And that's pretty much the story of the Art League today. We still need teams of people to come in. We still need docents to keep the door open. We have to manage the building, manage the programs, and I know you're still involved in a lot of those things. So you became the president. How long ago was that, Kerry?
That would have been just a year after we opened up, so it'd be 9 years ago.
9 years ago. Well, you did a terrific job, and the legacy is building and will live on, I'm sure. There is one other thing that we want to talk about, which you brought the idea to the Conroe Art League, and we're right in the thick of it right now. Would you tell us about that, the 12 by 12?
Well, one of the legacies of the Conroe Art League, going back to the 1960s, was that they would put together a show for high school students, and it started out just as Conroe High School. And as years went by, it kind of got bigger and bigger, and they would donate money for these kids to have cash prizes for their shows every year. And so we continued with that, and we needed to generate more money, and we had a sponsor, but the sponsor went by the wayside, and we really needed to work on it ourselves.
Yes.
So what we did was, I had been in Hawaii and visiting friends, and they took us to this really nice art gallery that looks a lot like the gallery here, except for it's on a mountain on top of a hill overlooking the Pacific Ocean. So not like it, but similar.
Yes.
It was the same age, building, same idea, and beautiful little art gallery. And every year they had a fundraiser where they gave their artists, actually you had to be juried into their show, but they gave their artists a 10-inch by 10-inch canvas. And they took it home and they would create something, and then they would bring it back before their fundraiser auction, and the pieces would be auctioned off, and all the proceeds from that auction would go to the art gallery and whatever they were. They had also a big school, so they were using the money for that. So when I came home, I approached our then president, Al Hyman. What do you think, Al? Do you think this is a good idea? And he said, well, I think 10 by 10 is too small. Can you bump it up by 12 to 12 by 12? And I said, sure.
Sure.
If they make 12 by 12, well, he said, go for it. Just go for it. See what the artists do. Fly by the seat of your pants. Let's see how it goes. And so we talked it up a lot, gave out the 12-inch by 12-inch panels or canvases, and we usually give people about 4 or 5 months to prepare, paint their best art. And
which is never enough time, by the way. Because
the colored pencil people told me absolutely not. The photographers didn't have a problem with it. But
yeah, the procrastination factor is quite huge. I can speak from experience on that. Yeah.
It is. But some people work well under a deadline.
Right. So. That's true. So and you know the importance of that, and I don't know when it came, but the student award show is part of our bylaws. So we're obligated in the bylaws to have the show and to raise the money, and we'll be giving away the money in May, depending on how much we make this time around. Our performance has been around 6,000, so we hope to make, I think, 7,500 this year. And so this year we've got it online right now, folks, so you can go and bid on your favorite piece. And then in February, all the pieces will continue online, but we're going to bring that into the gallery and have the gallery just have 12 by 12. And it might be time to look at some of the art, and that would be some of your 12 by 12. So if we could, let's bring up the first piece and begin to talk about that. And I know about this one because it's in the show, and we looked at it, and you're going to tell the story. But I love that, and I told you I like the fact that the duck is looking backwards, going forward, looking backwards, kind of a sly look. But tell us about that, the medium, the title, and how that picture came about.
Well, this is an acrylic painting, and it is on one of our 12 by 12 inch panels. And I love birds, and we live on Lake Conroe, like I said. My husband feeds the ducks, and he becomes familiar with the ducks. He calls them his pets, and so we have a lot. Our kitchen window is right by our bulkhead, so we see a lot of ducks. And the ducks get used to you feeding them, and they don't come and ring the doorbell, but almost. And so we have had a couple. Actually, it's 2 males and a female, and this is a female. Her name is Madame Mallard, and she gives you the look like it's dinner time. Come on, feed me. So anyway, we have about 30 ducks right now, but there's 2 males and a female who stick around year round.
Year round?
Yes, and we named them. My husband named them. Huey, Dewey, and Louise.
And Louise. I love that part.
This,
yes.
It's, we're getting old.
Well, it's appropriate, I think.
Sure.
Huey, Dewey, and Louise. Very good. So good luck on generating some funds for the Student Award Show with that 12 by 12. And we'll look at the next one. I think we have 4 images to look at.
That's a heron. We have a very old heron that roosts in a tree not far from our house. So it's at the house every day, pretty much fishing. We don't feed it. It does its own fishing.
Yes.
But his name is Billy Ray.
Okay.
There's a story to that too, but that's okay.
Okay. Well, sounds like we need to pass on that story. But Billy Ray, I love the blue in that, Kerry. I love the blue, and of course in the beak, the blue and the orange, the complements there really stands out, and the fade into the background is really, really dramatic.
Thank you.
So very nice on that one. And that was in last year's show? Or
No, that's been in the gallery, but not the 12 by 12.
Oh, so that's not a 12 by 12?
No, I'm sorry, yeah.
That seems rather obvious now that I look at it, that it's not a square. So I was thinking 12 by 12. Okay, so let's take a look at the third image.
Now, this was in last year's show, and there's a little story behind this. Our friends who live in Hawaii have a beautiful lanai that we spend a lot of time sitting out, and they have these little parrots in Hawaii, especially in Maui, and they call them lovebirds, and they mate for life, and they've got a really cute song. They're just kind of a sweet bird, but they roost in the roof of their lanai. So it's really, I would see them every day.
And Kerry, a lanai is?
A patio.
A patio.
Or a porch.
Or a porch, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So these two little lovebirds would come every day, and they actually had baby lovebirds. They had little laid eggs. It was just beautiful. And the song on the back of that piece is "Come Fly With Me," Frank Sinatra.
Yes.
So the person who bid on it and got it last year, her husband is a pianist, and so he has it behind his piano. He's a big Frank Sinatra fan.
And so obviously you had mentioned, they have a beautiful song, and that was your
they're sweet.
Your inspiration to have the music behind there, and then "Come Fly With Me," and okay, so very good. And the final piece, I think.
This was not in the 12 by 12 either. I did have an owl at one time. This was an acrylic painting that started out just as an eye. And my husband had taken a picture of a baby owl, and it just seemed so fluffy, compared to a bigger bird. And so I painted it from that photo, but it started with just the eye, and the eye made me continue.
That's nice. I like around the white, the gold really sets it off, and then the black, and then in the wings. So very nice. So I heard you say, of course, it was acrylic, and I don't. Each piece was acrylic, or some of these watercolor?
The little parrots were these ink brushes that are a new thing. They're a lot like watercolor,
So tell
but
me
they're
about
a brush, and they have ink in them, and they're really fun to paint with. You can get great.
It's intense.
Intense, yes, bright colors. It's really wonderful.
I'm not familiar with that medium. Does it merge well, like watercolor?
Yes, like watercolor.
Wet and wet, and,
Yes.
But still you could do dry brush, and
Yes.
you can a little bit more controllable, or
Yes.
neither here nor there.
Yes,
as
because
it comes to.
the brush keeps a really sharp point on it.
Okay.
And so you don't have to mess with that. And it's kind of a controlled flow of the ink. But at the moment I've just started taking a class with Cynthia Reed, wonderful watercolorist
wonderful
at our gallery. We're
watercolorist,
so lucky to have her, along with all the other incredible artists that we have that are teaching at the gallery right now. So I'm going to try and get back into watercolor a little bit and try to learn it from a real pro.
Yes, and Cynthia also does a very nice method, paper weaving.
Yeah.
And the picture comes out, and that's I know that's not the class you're taking, but she does do that as well. So you've got acrylic, you've got watercolor, you've got ink brushes. Are you planning on some other medium to extend to?
Well, I have a friend who is also an artist, and she always says, well, what's the expression, master of none?
Yeah, jack of all trades, but master of none.
Master of none. That would be me. I love the color pencils. I love acrylic. I love watercolor.
Yes.
I love even graphite drawing. But to get good at anything,
Yeah.
you got to do it.
You got to do it.
Over and over.
You stay involved in the Art League, and there's something you're doing today that we might talk about, get you out of here and get you back to the Art League, and this is something you do from time to time as there's a request for us. So tell us a little bit about the history of that, and even about the group today.
Well, what I do is I do tours for the gallery. I was really interested in the history of downtown Conroe. When we got into the gallery, I was interested in the building itself, and it's just kind of a coincidence that I knew one of the Madeley family. She's a lovely person, and she Marianne Metcalf, who's married to the former mayor. The whole idea is really it's a nice place. We should really show it off, and I felt like we should offer tours. We should get Cub Scouts in here, and we should get ladies groups, and we've had golfing groups. We've had
the fishing contest, the bass contest people about maybe 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah,
their wives came in.
Their wives came in, but we it's a very loose little tour, but it explains what the building's all about. It explains what the Art League is about,
Right.
and it promotes the arts in Conroe. It promotes us as artists, and often what comes out of these tours is people will sign up for classes. They'll come back for our receptions. They actually buy some of our artwork, which is lovely. But it's really a good way to promote the whole thing, and I think the city of Conroe is proud of us. They say that we're good stewards of the building.
I think so.
But I think, like anything, if you've got something beautiful, you want to share it and show it off. So we do these tours. There's going to be a tour today.
And what group is it, did you say? Firemen's?
No.
Who is
It's a group of people who I think run bus tours.
Bus tours, that's right. Yep.
So I'll find out more from them when they get here.
And Deborah Riley, the gallery manager, gave me a peek inside the gift bag.
Yeah.
And so that's nice. I said, crayons? No, not crayons. These are adults. These are oil
sticks.
Oil sticks, of course. And a piece of work to walk out with and do. So.
And we try to give them some light refreshments, make them feel comfortable. Hopefully they'll ask a lot of questions. And
sometimes we do demonstrations. Will there be a demonstration today?
No.
Okay.
I don't think they have time.
No.
But in the past, in fact, if someone gives us enough notice, we will have one of our professional artists come in and do a demonstration. Sometimes they'll be working on a piece and they'll paint it.
Sure.
Or we've had an wood carver, Fred Carter, who was an amazing wood carver, and he was great with the Cub Scouts and actually with a lot of the artists. And we've had retirement homes come who are always looking for a nice outing. So we are open and willing to show off what we have.
That's right.
And the artists are often not too hard to find to do a demo for us. We've had jewelry makers. We've had all kinds of people.
Artists are show-offs that way, are they not?
Some are.
Yeah, some are. Well, that sounds wonderful, and it's going to be a good tour today. I'm glad you mentioned Fred Carter. He's since moved, but I don't know of any artists in the gallery when they're doing their work. And we have docents that will come in, they'll set up their easel, but nobody like Fred Carter could attract a crowd when he's got a piece of wood, he's got his whittling knife, and he's going to town, and people just gravitate to that.
Yes.
And a sweet man, nice personality, so that was great. So Kerry, your art shows in the gallery. Typically, I know we just talked about the 12 by 12, but we do have monthly member shows, and you often participate in that. I don't know that you show. You probably participate in the judge show for the Lone Star Art Guild competition.
I often
that
do.
comes
Yes.
around. But you can find Kerry's art, folks. You can find Kerry's art in the Conroe Art League Gallery, as well as the art of many of our members in our monthly shows, in our special shows. So if you want to see wonderful art, and I invite you to do that, please visit us at the Best Little Art Gallery in historic downtown Conroe. We're at 127 Simonton Street. We're open from Tuesday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. So please stop by, visit, join us, appreciate the art, because we practice our creed there to create, appreciate, and learn.